right behind me, I've got the 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser, and this does have the premium package. If you guys are new here, my name is Jason, and I do reviews just like this here in Canada. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over the different models that you can get with the Toyota Land Cruisers, the safety features you do get with the premium package here, the engine and towing specs, the exterior, the interior, the infotainment system, and of course the pricing. And also thank you to Orangeville Toyota for allowing me to review this Land Cruiser. All right, let's start things off in the front of the Land Cruiser, and I think these actually look pretty aggressive in the front end here, especially with this boxy style going on. Now over on the bumper here, there are a few things going on. So you've got like this gray trimming at the bottom here. You've got this opening right below the license plate area, including a front facing camera. And then all along here, and then pretty much the middle of the vehicle, you have the black plastic along with the front safety sensors. There's also the LED front fog lights. And in the corners, I like how you do have like these vents which are functional, so you have them on both the sides, and it also adds to the look of the vehicle. And then really you just get into this mini grille area. Again, you're gonna notice a lot of the square designing everywhere with this vehicle. So up here you do have obviously the opening, it says Toyota in the middle here. There's also your sensor, and then you do have all of this around the grille, which is also in this gray granite material, which actually stands out since this vehicle is in black. And then you get into these pretty cool looking LED front lights. I like the bar at the top, and then of course you have your usual lights in the center there. And taking a step back, you can see with everything tied together, this definitely looks like an off-road vehicle. And in terms of what powers the Land Cruiser, this does have the 2.4 liter turbo hybrid engine, which is going to make 326 horsepower and 465 pound-foot of torque. Towing wise, you're looking at about 6,000 pounds when equipped properly. Now fuel economy wise, you're looking at about 10.7 liters in the city and about 9.5 liters on the highway. All right, coming to the side of the Land Cruiser, you've got the nice looks obviously. Now up top here, this does have one of my favorite things, which is the power sunroof right there. And then up here you also have the roof rails, which are in gloss black here. And then around your windows, it's just all black trimming. And as for the door handles, these are body color. Same thing for the side mirror. Again, you have the boxy look going on. And over on the side here, you do have your turn signal. And then on the bottom here, you do have a side mirror camera for your full 360. And then at the bottom, you also have your side steps. And then moving to these wheels, these are actually pretty neat. You do have like the dark theme going on here. And these are your 20-inch wheels. So if I do take a step back, you can see these definitely fit the Land Cruiser. And also, since you are going to be probably taking this off-roading, all of this trimming here and along the whole bottom of the vehicle is in plastic. All right, coming around to the rear, again, the same looks as the front, the boxy style definitely continues back here, and it actually looks pretty good. Now over on the bumper back here, it's the same stuff as you saw on the front. So you've got the blacked out bumper here with the gray trimming there. And then the centerpiece is also obviously blacked out. And this little hump here does house your rear trailer hitch. So it is covered behind that. And then you do have your trailer outlets right there. There's also a spare tire, and then your exhaust is underneath. There's also the rear safety sensors. And then you get into the tailgate area. So everything is blacked out. Your Land Cruiser is blacked out. Toyota is blacked out. And then you've got the iForce Max badging as well. And obviously you do have a backup camera here. And then as for these rear lights, these are also LED lights. And I like the designing of this. Looks pretty neat. Now up top here, you do have the built-in spoiler with the rear brake light, and you really can't see, but inside you do have a digital rear view mirror camera. All right, let's go ahead and open up the tailgate. So the button is right down here, and this is a power opening lift gate obviously. So in terms of the room back here, look at how much room there is. This thing goes all the way inside, and you can fit a ton of stuff back here if you're using this for off-roading or even just family stuff. And back here also, you do have the cup holders, which is not only on this side, but also on this side you do have this here, which is your privacy cover. You also have a 120 volt outlet here. And then if I go ahead and lift up this mat here, you do have some space inside of this section, and also on this side, which is going to be on both of the sides. And not only that, but if you go ahead and lift up this area here, so lift up the mat, there's also a little strap here, so you can lift this section up as well for storage. All right, let's go ahead and enter inside of the Land Cruiser here and see what this thing has to offer. So you do have an all black interior with bits and pieces that do stand out. So down here, you do have your water bottle areas. You got a speaker here and a little one up here. And this does have the JBL sound system. And then you do have the soft touch here with the contrast stitching, and then soft touch up here as well. And that's really it. Now let's check out the seats here. This is all blacked out obviously. So you have the perforated bottom and back sections. And then of course you have have the contrast stitching along the side. Now something cool back here is you do have the outside seats, which are heated and ventilated. And not only that, with this little latch here, you can also recline the seats. And then if I go ahead and pull down the center here, you do have a spot for your cup holders. And now I'm going to jump inside and show you the legroom and the headroom in this. All right, entering inside, legroom wise, as you can see, I am pretty good, and I'm sure the driver's seat can be adjusted, so I'll have a little bit more legroom, but even how it is right now, I have a good amount of legroom. Now in terms of the headroom, look at how much space there is, and that's because you kind of have like this indent that goes into the roof line here. And I'm wearing a hat, for reference, I'm 5'11", and I'm super comfortable back here. And also behind the driver and the passenger seat, I love how that there's no plastic, it's all soft touch material, plus you do have these storage compartments on both the seats. And also in the second row, you do have your grab handles, which are on both the sides. Also back here, you do have this nice trimming that says Land Cruiser. You got the heating and cooling temperature controls, including the heated seats, the vented seats, and then down here you do have your 12-volt socket and then USB ports. All right, let's head to the front and see if anything is different compared to the rear. Now the only thing I can really notice up here is you do have a slightly bigger area, or an area that's more extended than the rear. You also got a bit of a bigger speaker here, but you don't have that little speaker up here, and everything else is identical to the rear, other than of course your window controls, side mirror controls, and then the driver memory seat controls. Now as for the front seats, these are identical to the rear. The only thing up here is the stitching. You have this nice designing on the sides, and then just your usual back perforated and bottom perforated sections with the contrast stitching. The front seats also come heated and ventilated. Now over on the side here, you do have your power seat adjustments. Even on the mats, something very small, you have Land Cruiser, and then right here you do have your hood latch release, and then here is your trailer brake controller. Here is the 120-volt power, so you can turn it on or off. You got the tailgate, the gas cap, auto high beams. You also got your sensors here to turn them on or off, cluster dimmers, and then the fog light there as well. And even around the venting here, I like the circular designing, and it has gloss black around this, plus this little gray trimming here. And then as for the steering wheel, this does come power adjustable. All right, entering inside, your dashboard is pretty unique because you have like this very soft material here, and then the hard plastic pretty much everywhere. You've got a little speaker on the corner here, over here, in the center, and two more on the other side. And this also has another one of my favorite things, which is the heads-up display. And then you move into the fully digital cluster area. I love what Toyota has done with this, and it just looks so clean and crisp. And this is a 12.3-inch cluster area, and on here you can view a ton of different information, and to control all of that, it is done through here. So if I just press down for a second here, you can see I can go through a ton of different information about the vehicle, and each of these gauge clusters will change, which is pretty neat. So there's a ton of information to be viewed on here. Now something cool you'll notice on the cluster, especially down here, when you press on the brakes, these little lights illuminate, kind of indicating your vehicle, which is pretty cool. You also have this little guy here. This does monitor the driver. As for the steering wheel, you do have the soft touch material. This does come heated, which is nice. And then over on the side here, you have like this tan material. It's on both the sides, and then you do have gloss black down here. It says Toyota, and then on the left here you have your cluster control, phone control, more of the cluster controls here, volume, and then Bluetooth. And then the other side you have all your cruise control settings, follow distance, lane keep, and then here you have your seat controls, and then the different modes for your radio. Also behind the steering wheel you do have paddle shifters on both the sides, and then back here you do have your exterior lights and fog lights and high beams and indicators. The other side you do have your front and rear wiper controls. Now over on the center armrest here you have soft touch, contrast stitching, and opening this up, you're probably wondering right off the bat, why is this thing so small? Well, this is actually your mini fridge here, because you have a button for cooling. So that is pretty cool. Now over on the center console here, there's a ton of stuff going on. First off, you have more of that nice tan material everywhere. And then you have obviously your front cup holders. Here you have your traction control, your stability bar, and then your lockers here. There's also the different modes here. You've got your hold button, electronic parking brake. Up here you have your drive mode, MTS, and then your crawl as well. And then here is the mode selector knob. Also for the different drive modes, so if I just click into any of them, as you can see, it goes into 3 different modes. So you have sport, normal, and eco. And I really like how whatever you go onto, the image and the color scheme changes. And also right under the stop start button, you do have the tow haul button as well. And then is your handy dandy shifter. You've got some space back here, including a wireless phone charger, USB ports, and then you have your camera button, which is right there. And then moving up here, you have all your heating and cooling, plus your heated seats, your vented seats, and then the heated steering wheel. Now, before I forget, I want to show you the camera. So I'm going to press this here. Here's what pops up on the screen. So you have kind of like this animation that goes around the vehicle, and you can even click this here, which kind of has your vehicle and then the 360 as well. Now to see the actual cameras, you can either put this into reverse or into drive. So if I go into drive for a second, there it is. So here are all the cameras. So here's the front facing camera. The top bird's eye view is right there. And then you also have this button here, which is just the front. So it shows kind of like the extended front of your vehicle. And then you have all your lines and everything. And it's the same thing if you put this into reverse. So there's the backup camera, the top bird's eye view, the lines, everything. And then you can also have this view as well, kind of like a fishbowl view. And well, since we're on the screen, here is the touchscreen. This is a 12.3-inch touchscreen. And I just love what Toyota does with the infotainment system here because it's so easy to use. So here is the navigation section, which you do have to subscribe to. And then next is the music section or the media section. So that's what that looks like. And then next is the phone section once you do have it paired. Under the vehicle section, you do have the climate, trip information, off-road information. So if I go into this, it is going to show you all your necessary off-road information. If I head back again, you do have the climate, trip info. And then under settings, you have all the usual stuff, the settings that you can go into and fine tune everything. And next to the screen is where you will find your volume and on off for the screen. And then moving up here, first off, you will probably notice this, and this is the intrusion sensor, which is pretty neat. And you don't really see this on vehicles nowadays, but this is the first time I'm seeing it the way that it's set up right now, because I know some vehicles have like the interior sensor camera. So this is definitely unique. And then here is the rear view mirror. If you were paying attention, this is also a digital rear view mirror. And then you have the mirror settings here and then the garage controls on this side. And then moving up here, you do have your lights, which you can obviously do with the doors. You have the sunroof controls on both the sides and then SOS. Here is the key for the Land Cruiser. It's your usual Toyota key. All right, let me come around to the passenger side here and let me show you what the dashboard and everything looks like. So you do have the soft touch everywhere and then this cool like piping, striping, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, very nicely textured. And then you have just your usual glove compartment space. And for the different models that you can get with the Toyota Land Cruiser, you really only get two options, other than with the Cruiser, you do have the premium package, which this one has. And with the premium package, you do get quite a few options added to it. And here are the safety features you do get with the Land Cruiser and that get added on with the premium package. Now, there was no window sticker for this, but if you go ahead on Toyota's website and build it out exactly how this is, you're looking at about $101,600 Canadian. All right, well, that does it for the review on this 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser with the premium package. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this?